Hi YouTube! Welcome to the first video in what I hope is like a series of studio hangout videos. I frankly have a lot of studio work to do today, so I was kind of thinking that if you have some work to do, whether that's like prepping for dinner, doing the laundry, knitting, maybe you're doing pottery yourself, that we could kind of hang out and do work together. I posted a video a few days ago asking for you guys to send me your deep burning questions, and me and Lola have been looking through them, so I kind of thought that while I work, we could chat, we could hang out. I'm definitely kind of an iPad baby insofar as like I always need something going in the background, whether that's like video essays, music, TV shows. So I just kind of thought it would be fun to make the kind of video that I work to for you guys to work to. And so it's like we're working together. Oh, I forgot to mention, I have something to show you guys. Okay, one second. I got a very special package from YouTube this week and I'm literally so excited about it. I can't even put it into words. I know that's a cliche, but like that's really how I feel. We recently hit over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, which means that YouTube sent me the silver YouTube play button. It's the shiniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's already got a bunch of fingerprints on it because I've been passing it around. I guess for kids these days, like they want to be TikTokers. But for me, like growing up, I mean, who didn't want to be a YouTuber growing up? So, I mean, in the same way that like I wanted to be like an astronaut or something, like I wanted to be a YouTuber, and here I am with my silver play button. So thank you so much to all of my subscribers. Thank you so much. This is the coolest thing ever, and I'm just thrilled. I guess I'll put this away before it gets covered in clay like everything else that I own. So one question that I get a lot is like, how much does the clay cost? So there's a huge price difference between stoneware and porcelain. When I use the Studio Reclaim, I pay $20 for about 70 pounds, which is a great rate. That might be even a little less than wholesale, and that's one of like the perks that I get for working here is like very cheap clay. When it comes to porcelain though, this box with 2 bags in it is a total of 50 pounds. And for 50 pounds of porcelain, I'm paying $70. So huge difference in price, you know, $20 for 70 pounds versus $70 for 50 pounds, right? And we don't have much of a porcelain reclaiming system. So I kind of have to reclaim all of it by hand. Like we don't have like a porcelain specific bug. Okay, so this brick of porcelain, this is a Cone 10 British raw leg porcelain, I think. This in itself is $35 for this brick. And today I'm gonna start by making a vase that takes up about half of the brick. So that's, I'm trying to divide 35 by 2.
17 and a half.
So that's $17.50 for just the raw materials for that one pot. So in general, if you're buying pottery or selling pottery, if you're buying something that's porcelain, it's usually going to cost more than something that's stoneware, just because porcelain does tend to be a little more expensive. So I'm just going to guesstimate about half of the brick here and start wedging. And maybe while we wedge, Lola can shoot me the first question.
A lot of people said that they wanted to know how you're doing.
How am I doing? That's so sweet. I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good. I'm living the dream. I'm one of those lucky people who is basically doing their literal dream job. So no complaints from me on that front. It's getting warm. I'm gonna be teaching summer classes and seeing a lot of my, favorite kids again who I haven't seen throughout the school year. So I'm doing really good. Thank you for asking. That's very sweet.
Maddie's Imagination on YouTube wants to know, how did you end up working for Gabe even though you teased him in high school?
Okay, so I feel like I need to like provide a bit of an explanation since that one short about me basically bullying him is my most viral video on YouTube. But like, I wasn't like actually mean to this person. Like if Gabe were here right now, he's downstairs, I could go get him, but like, I'm pretty sure that if you ask Gabe, he wouldn't say that I was genuinely mean to him. Well, John was there. John, was I mean to Gabe? I was just obnoxious. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so at 0 points would Gabe have described me as like an enemy. We were basically always friends, and we kept in contact, and when he decided to open this studio instead of going to college, he basically reached out to me with the idea and was like, hey, if I open a community studio where there will be instruction, you're my #1 choice for teaching kids classes by far and away, and teaching adult classes. He knew that I'd been teaching pottery classes since I was like 16 at our other local pottery studio. So it was really just a matter of like, I was sort of straddling the line between going into full-time English teaching. For those who don't know, I have a license to teach English. And then here was Gabe saying, hey, do you want to take a leap and join my business and teach pottery instead? And I was kind of like, yeah, you know, like, I mean, what kind of life would I be living if I said no to that? There will always be a need for teachers and classrooms and stuff, so I figured that I could definitely at least try this. So yeah, I'm working with Gabe. We're friends. He's also my boss. Sometimes it's weird, but most of the time it's just really, really fun. And I'm very grateful every day that he decided to start this business and include me. So yeah, I wasn't actually mean to him. At least by my recollection, I was not actually mean to him, and we were always friends. And there's zero bad blood.
Bex on YouTube wants to know, is pottery your whole life, or do you do other things to unwind?
I mean, sometimes it feels like it. It's interesting because, you know, pottery used to be the thing that I do to unwind. And now that pottery's like my job, you do kind of have to replace, like I can't really unwind with pottery anymore. Like it's still really fun and I enjoy it, but there is an aspect to which like there are things I have to get done, and you know, it's an obligation now. So I play way too much League of Legends. I probably shouldn't be admitting this on the internet, but I play a lot of League of Legends. And I like board games, I like watching TV, I love hanging out with my friends. Just nothing makes me happier than ordering a pizza and sitting around in someone's kitchen talking about literally nothing and cackling on like, can you tell that I'm out of breath?
It just seems so heavy. Like.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's half of 25?
12 and a half.
12 and a half, it's 12 and a half.
Math is hard. Math is super hard.
So hard.
Like, when's the last time you did math? Like,
not since like my freshman year of college. I had to take physics for my science plus lab. I somehow got an A.
That's good.
Yeah, I got an A, and I have not done math ever. Listen, I took AP Calculus.
So did I. I haven't taken math since then.
Exactly, I took AP Calculus, and now here I am. I do not know what 25 divided by 2 is. Why don't we actually, before you shoot me the next question, let's move to the wheel, because this is
okay.
right. Transition. Transition.
Dragano on YouTube wants to know how did you come up with the information next year?
Honestly, you try out a lot of things and then just see what works. I was kind of in a period where I wasn't quite sure what kind of aesthetic I was looking for and what I really wanted to be making. At the time, I had been doing a lot of painted porcelain, and I was starting to feel a little bit sad about the fact that like I was spending a really long time painting things by hand and doing very realistic like animal portraits and stuff like that, and flowers, and then I would kind of look around and like because of things like decals and like just factory manufacturing things, like I was spending so long on every piece, and the result was, it felt like it looked very similar to mass manufactured work. So I just kind of thought that if I switched from porcelain to stoneware, that I would find sort of a looser aesthetic than what I was doing with porcelain. And one day I just made a giant cylinder out of stoneware, and I had the serrated rib because I was using it to like attach some things together. And I just kind of wondered what would happen if I just took the serrated rib to the pot and just see what happens. And I thought it looked pretty cool, but I wasn't positive I was going to pursue it until at our studio sale, like a month or so later, Gabe's mom, who is like a very successful like art gallery dealer person, she bought that vase, and it was huge, so I priced it at like over $100, and I just kind of figured nobody would want it, but I might as well try. But she bought it, and she came up to me and she was like, I haven't seen you do anything like this before. This is so beautiful. It looks like the ocean. It has so much movement. And I was like, dang, I mean, cool. I mean, maybe I should try that more. I mean, just having that positive feedback and that encouragement was enough to keep experimenting with it. So when the woman who asked me to make a charity piece for her event came up to me and asked me to make her something for her silent auction, I was like, oh, well, you know, Jennifer really liked that, and I've been having a lot of fun doing that, so let me make another piece with that texture. And that went super viral on TikTok. And so just being able to have that response from people, like art doesn't happen in a vacuum, and the encouragement that like other people were seeing something in what I was making, like, and they were seeing similar, like they were seeing what I was seeing and seeing value where I was seeing value, that alignment of value was hugely encouraging and just led me to keep doing it. And people seemed to really respond to it and really want to have pieces with that texture on it and be a part of that sort of series. So I kept practicing it and experimenting it on different forms and different shapes. And it's become the sort of intuition series that we know today.
Do you recommend college for people wanting to go into pottery?
Ooh. You know, the college question, like whether or not you want to be a potter, like the college question is so complex and it's so fraught with like different systems, if that makes sense. I think that if you hated school, if you absolutely hated high school, you have a lot of trouble doing homework and test taking, and you know, you didn't get along with your teachers, you know, like, and you just know that you hated school and would hate college too. Like, how do I put this? I went to college and was very successful in college. I just see a lot of people sort of forcing themselves to go to college. They go into huge amounts of debt and go to college because that's what they think they're supposed to do. And they either get really burnt out and their mental health suffers, or they drop out and then have all of this student debt and no degree to show for it, and all they really have to show for it is this kind of chip on their shoulder that like they couldn't hack it, like they couldn't make it. But college and like these institutions of education are not well designed for everybody. And I don't think that you need a degree to find, you know, fulfillment and to receive the training you need for a successful job. I mean, I just mentioned this earlier, but Gabe dropped out of college after the first like month. He dropped out. And he's my boss now. And here I am, you know, I had a 3.9 GPA, triple major, and he's my boss. You know what I'm saying? My college that I went to,
was not very strong in ceramic arts at all. It was a small liberal arts college, and at the time, I thought that I wanted to pursue English and English literature, maybe get like a PhD in English, be a professor. You know, I was very interested in academia, and pottery and art was just sort of the secondary thing that I did as like a hobby and like for fun. I mean, I frankly couldn't live without it. So I knew I had to go to a school that had pottery, but we didn't even have like a pottery, like tenured pottery professor, if that makes sense. She was like a fellow, and like she operated on a grant, like I don't know all the details, but it was not like an excellent school for art. It was a really good school for liberal arts, but not a great school for art, because I didn't know that I was going to be going into art as like a job, as like a profession. So if you're going into ceramics, I don't think that you need a degree, but I also don't think that it would hurt to get a degree. Like there are really, really good undergraduate programs for art and for, you know, 3D art, ceramic art. So it's really up to you, like how, like financially does it make sense for you and your family to pay for that? And, you know, do you, not like, oh, you have to have loved high school in order to go to college. I don't mean that at all. But like deep down, do you know that that's gonna be a fit for you? Or do you feel like you'll be trying to go just because you feel like you have to? Yeah, you kind of gotta carve your own path and be true to yourself, because, you know, I know a lot of people who don't have degrees either because they never went to college or because they dropped out. And they're wonderful, intelligent, great people. I think that college was a very good choice for me, and I learned a lot, but not every environment is the most nurturing for every person. There's like a lot of diversity.
Moonshine on YouTube would like to know, did you have a nickname in school, and who was your favorite and least favorite teacher?
I don't know if you could call this a nickname, but I was one of like maybe 3 Asian people at my grade. So sometimes affectionately and sometimes I think like racistly, they called me Mulan and like chopsticks. I know, it's really messed up.
Either way, that's like so, like what?
Yeah, I will say, like some of the people that I'm still friends with today, like they used to call me Mulan. And I think they meant it positive, because who doesn't like Mulan? Like Mulan's really cool. But yeah, I think also in a mean way.
But that feels like tokenism. Like they're like I don't know.
No, it a million percent.
Like hello.
So I or like Cho Chang, oh, it's so bad.
Oh,
It's
no,
so bad.
that's not good.
No, it's not good. And like I had a lot of like, honestly, I had a lot of like, I don't want to say like body image per se, but like I had a lot of like difficulty feeling like beautiful when I was in like middle school and high school, because like all the beauty standards, like there weren't really like Asian like beauty icons that I could really look to, and people called me flat face a lot. That was always mean when they called me flat face. No, it's really bad. And I grew up in a really liberal, you know, democratic, you know,
so mean.
diverse.
They're so
The kids are mean. The kids are really mean. At least they were when I was there. I don't know if it got better or if it got worse, frankly. But
It's the same.
I feel like kids everywhere.
Yeah,
I
it's-
love kids. I work with kids. I love kids. They are so mean. They don't know any better. Or sometimes they do and they don't care. Yeah.
When they're, but in high school though, they should know. Like they definitely know.
Oh yeah, big time.
They're just mean on purpose.
But yeah, teacher experiences. Gosh, I have so many horrible teaching experiences because for some reason, especially middle school teachers are occupied by people who hate children. I mean,
That's so real.
I really feel like maybe 60 to 70% of the teachers I had in middle school genuinely seemed to hate children, which is tough. Like, why be a teacher, you know? And then they're miserable and they hate their jobs. But I mean, while we're talking about like the racism, I guess, this one was brutal. I will not name names, but I don't get sued for like libel or whatever. But my 7th grade, maybe 8th grade science teacher, none of us were doing our homework, because that's how middle school works. You don't do your homework. And one day, she decided, everyone came into class and like she was at the door and she was like, show me your homework, go sit here, go sit here. So she basically divided the room by kids who had done their homework on one side and kids who had not done their homework on the other side. And she literally stood at the front of the classroom and looked directly into each of our eyes. And that day I had not done my homework. And frankly, when she divided the room, it was majority white kids on the side that had done their homework and majority kids of color who had not done their homework. I'm just gonna say it was a coincidence. I'm not gonna attribute anything to that, but she looked directly into the eyes of me and all the other students of color who had not done their homework and said, "You're all gonna be flipping burgers." And then she looked at the kids who had done their homework and she said, "And you're gonna be their bosses." And then she gave them all Rice Krispie treats and let them play games all period while we had to just sit there like doing nothing, like not even like a study hall like homework. Just like, she made us sit there just to like contemplate our life choices.
That's not even like productive in
No,
any way. Like, how, like, what did she expect? Like, what did she think was gonna come from?
Yeah, and like as somebody who's like has a teaching license now, like even if you're like, yeah, I'm gonna teach them a lesson by dividing them up and showing them that you should do your homework, once you see the demographic split, I would back off. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like that's tough.
It's like, it's so, like, not doing one assignment one time dictates your entire life. Like,
Right.
that's absurd. I feel like that's what they made it too.
Yeah, and frankly, it was all busy work, you know? It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
like anything that you learn from.
I
It's
can't
just
name one thing I learned from that time in my life. Like,
right.
I don't know.
It was probably some really silly assignment of like, go through the textbook and write down the definitions that are already written in the textbook onto this alternative sheet of paper. You know, I don't know. And I probably didn't do it because I thought it was stupid.
Abigail on YouTube wants to know how long it took you to make a living off of pottery.
I'll let you know once I start making a living off of pottery. I mean, to be honest, I feel like people look at like the follower counts, you know. I feel like people look at the follower counts and they see like, oh yeah, like she's getting views, like, oh, I'm sure that she's like making a lot of money. Like, I'm gonna be real with you guys, like this is not like, it's not bad. I mean, like for someone who's like living at home with their mom, it's not bad. I'm currently in the process of trying to make a living off of pottery. If I want to move out of my mom's house, I will have to make more this year than I made last year. But I am very, very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate that like my mom has plenty of space for me in her house. My mom is very happy to have me in her house. My mom is kind of on the older side also, so in my head, in a way, like, you know, I'm keeping her company and like helping her out with things like she can't lift or, you know, I like to think that I'm being helpful while I'm there and not just being a bum. But yeah, I'm on that grind trying to see basically if I can make a living doing this. And so far, we're very much in a very positive trajectory. But I do get nervous sometimes. I do get nervous that, you know, like what if none of this pans out and then I apply for jobs and then there's like on my resume, there's like a 3-year period of like self-employment where I did social media pottery, you know, like
If you had like 50 followers and like you were just saying that you did it, that would be different.
That's true. That is very true. There's definitely a risk. And one thing that I always want to address is that like, I'm in a very privileged position to be able to basically just try this. Does that make sense? Like, I don't have student debt. I don't have like car payments. I'm not paying rent because I'm living at home. And up until recently, like I was on my mom's insurance. So I was very, very lucky to be able to basically take a few years making like not a lot of money to see if it works. Does that make sense? I feel like a lot of people, a lot of talented, hardworking people do not have the luxury of trying and having a network around them and having that safety net around them. And I think that's a huge problem. I think we're missing out on a lot of artists, on a lot of brilliant people who don't have the financial freedom to make the most of their gifts and their talents and their hard work. So yeah, I'm very, very lucky that I was able to. Basically, I'll let you know once I'm making a living off of my pottery. I sort of am, I'm also sort of not, but I always want to acknowledge that, like, super grateful for what I have.
What's your advice for people who love art but aren't good at it?
What does that even mean?
Like, I guess if they want to make art, but they're like bad at making art. I don't know.
Listen, you're not good. Maybe you don't feel like you're good at art yet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, how can you just write yourself off and be like, oh yeah, I'm terrible at art? Most art is just practice.
That's true. That's real.
Like, it's not like you're born being able to throw on a potter's wheel. Sorry, I'm kind of sniffly. I'm gonna have to go blow my nose. I would say, I mean, if you love it and it's making you happy, do it. I mean, maybe it'll be hard. I mean, you have to define bad, right? I mean, what is a bad art? If you're making art that feels true to you and your vision and what you want to be creating, you just have to kind of hope that there's somebody out there who sees and shares that vision. But frankly, you should do it because you love it, I mean, I couldn't do this if I hated what I was making. I couldn't do this if I felt like, oh, I'm never gonna get better. Frankly, a lot of the work that I put out, I'll make some work, I'll feel really good about it, and then in a year I look at it and I'm like, this is trash, like, oh, I can't believe I thought this was good, I'm so much better now. But just because that happens, that's always gonna happen, you're always gonna hopefully be growing, but that shouldn't prevent you from putting your art out as it is now. You should make it, put it out into the world, and maybe it'll resonate with somebody. Like, I wasn't expecting my art to resonate with anybody, and it did, Yeah, if art makes you happy, do art. 1,000,000%.
Apparently, a lot of people ask this. What are your tips for getting into / starting pottery?
That's a tough question because it totally depends. Like, if you live in a rural area, I mean, I don't have a lot of experience in rural areas, but my understanding is that there's not as much access to like community studios or classes. So I frankly am not sure. I will say that I don't usually recommend just like buying a ton of stuff, like never having done it before and then just buying a bunch of stuff. Because a lot of the equipment is, first of all, wildly expensive, and you have to have proper ventilation, and there's a lot of chemistry involved, and some of the materials can be hazardous if they're mishandled. So I definitely don't recommend just like buying a pottery wheel off of Craigslist and just like going, because there's just a lot of infrastructure necessary for this process. Like, pottery is not just one process, it's a series of processes, if that makes sense. But if you're trying to just like start and like do it for fun, I would just try to find a pottery studio near you that offers classes with like good instruction and some open studio time. In Chicago, we have dozens.
maybe more than dozens. I have no idea. We have a lot. But I definitely recommend doing classes first. That's how I started. My high school, I was very lucky. My public high school offered pottery classes and had an excellent ceramics program, like better, frankly, than my university's program was my high school program. So it kind of depends where you are and what's available to you. But definitely take a class, and just try it. It's really fun.
Mona on YouTube wants to know, have you ever felt a lack of motivation, and if so, how do you get back into the swimming thing?
Oh, what a great question. Yeah, I mean, motivation comes and goes, and that's the thing you have to come to terms with, is you can be so excited, so interested, and then the next week hate everything that you've made and feel like you're never gonna be good enough. Well, maybe I shouldn't say you in the second person. That's how I feel. Every now and again, I look at what I'm making and I'm like, this has zero value. This sucks. Everything I'm making sucks. Generally, when my motivation is at the lowest, it coincides with not liking what I'm making. And oftentimes you just have to switch things up. If what you're doing isn't working, I find that feeling ashamed about it and beating yourself up over it is never going to help you get out of that rut. And even if it does, it's a temporary fix, if that makes sense. I find that when I'm not feeling motivated, I go find some art that I really, really like, and I copy it, straight up. I just rip it off as closely as I can. And I don't then go around and say oh yeah, here are my original ideas. But oftentimes I just throw them out. But it's a good way to kind of just get yourself out of a rut and see what other people are doing, what techniques they're using, and just trying something else. And then, maybe they have a technique or an idea that they're exploring that, you're oh, that's interesting. Maybe if I were to do this, here's how I would, pursue that idea. But yeah, I would just say don't beat yourself up if the muses leave you, and you have to ask yourself what the source of that lack of motivation is. For me, it's usually not liking what I'm making, but for other people, it might have to do with other things that would prevent them from having motivation. Maybe, you're using too much of your creative energy in another area, and so you don't have as much room for it in your art. I would say identify the source of your burnout and lack of motivation first, and that's sort of when you can go from there to sort of, find that spark again. Word. Right now, I'm trying to bring this into sort of a bottle shape on top. I've gotten it pretty thin overall, so I have to very carefully bring this in because this is quite thin, and if I bring it in too much at once, it will collapse. So, wish me luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You kind of answered this already, sort of, but exclamation point on YouTube wants to know, did you major in college?
Oh yeah, I kind of answered this. I was basically a triple major. I majored in studio art, and I majored in English, and I guess you could call it a concentration in education. But yeah, I did a lot. I just packed that schedule full with art and reading and going into classrooms and learning about how people learn and how to address, the variety of needs in a classroom. And it honestly helped me understand quite a lot about myself as well.
All that page on YouTube has several questions, so I'll just ask them one at a time. Do you play board games?
Freaking love board games. I love board games. I am a board game fiend. I mean, listen, social interaction is hard. It's not hard playing board games. God, I mean, especially in high school, I mean,
I just had a group of like really socially awkward, nerdy guys who I would play board games with. Did we know how to talk to each other in any socially, emotionally intelligent way? No. Like, we didn't know anything about, like, you know, I was going through a lot in high school. They were going through a lot in high school. We didn't talk about any of that. They'd come over, we'd get a pizza, and then we would play like Resistance and Settlers of Catan and Code Names, and you know, I mean, I could go on and on. We played so many random board games that no one has ever heard of. We played like D&D, we would play video games. Anything like artificially competitive, I'm so down for.
So also, what kind of music do you listen to?
I just got so sad because I listen to a ton of Taylor Swift. I would die for Taylor Swift. I'm going to her concert in June.
Oh my god, you're gonna have so much fun. I just saw her in Vegas.
You saw her?
So good.
Was it amazing?
It was
Oh my god, don't tell me anything. All I know is that it's gonna be
won't.
amazing.
I won't. But you're gonna, like, it's gonna blow your mind. Like,
Stop,
it's
I'm
insane.
literally gonna start sobbing right now, just picturing myself at this concert. You guys, I love Taylor Swift, and her and Joe Alwyn broke up.
Is that like a real thing?
It's 100% a real thing. There's no way it's not a real thing. People think that the person who leaked it was Joe Alwyn himself, and if you look at a lot of her songs off of Midnights, and especially some of her B-sides off of Midnights, they're absolutely breakup songs, and I'm devastated because I hinged my entire worldview.
It's dead. It's dead.
That's what I'm saying. Love is dead. Love is dead.
So sad.
I mean, maybe it was unwise from the start to like hinge my entire worldview on the ability for one person to love another on a celebrity I've never met who's notorious for having terrible breakups. Like, maybe that was a bad idea, but it's too late, and now I'm so sad.
Yeah.
Like, but you know.
But it's okay because you're gonna have a really good time watching her.
Yes, I'm gonna have such a good time, and it's gonna be great. And like, honestly, if anything, it's just proof that like things are survivable, and that things change.
Real. That's so true.
It's like Taylor's gonna be fine, Joe is gonna be fine, and bad things can happen. Things that you expect to turn out one way can turn out a different way, and you can still be okay.
It's like so funny because we don't even know that. Like we.
But I'm devastated. I feel personally attacked. Like.
It's like it was you. It's like you were there.
Yes, I'm so sad. I mean, well, honestly, that's part of like what Taylor's music does. I mean, she very much takes after the Romantic poets insofar as her art is designed to make you feel the way that she felt at the time that she wrote it. Like, she's encapsulating overflowing, sublime feeling in words. I mean, listen, I was fully like 15, never had a boyfriend, never had any relationship, and she would sing about being broken up with or being cheated on. I'd be like,
That's so true.
I'd just be in my room beating my chest, like, how could they cheat on me? And like, never kissed anybody. Like, her art is designed to make you like feel identified with her. So when she goes through a breakup, like, that's how I feel. I feel like I have lost a 6-year relationship. Like, that's how I feel.
I hope she watches this. Then.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Oh god.
If Taylor
Crazy.
Swift ever saw any of my videos, I would send her as many pots as she wants. If she wanted them, if she liked it, I would send her anything she wanted. I would sculpt a bust of her and send it to her, you know? Like, I would do anything she asked. But yeah, I listen to a lot of Taylor Swift, a lot of female artists, indie artists, and pop artists. I'm a girl's girl, you know what I'm saying? I just like, if she's a girl, she's singing, she's slaying, like, I'm there. Gosh, I mean, I feel like I need to open my Spotify and like.
That's always how I feel too. Like, people ask me that, and I'm like, I don't know.
Like Rina Sawayama.
Oh, she's so good.
So good. I love Rina Sawayama. I love MXM Tune.
Okay. Word.
Gosh. I mean, I mean, Selena Gomez. I mean, like the pop girlies, Ariana Grande. I listen to a lot of. Maggie Rogers. I really like.
Love
Yeah, literally. Okay, fun fact about Maggie Rogers. My good friend's brother. Well, no, I guess my good friend's cousin is her best friend.
No way, that's wild.
I'm like, maybe I'll meet her one day. Like, maybe. But yeah, that's what, you can get my vibe. From what I said, that's my
totally.
vibe. Yeah.
What is your biggest irrational fear?
Instant terror in eyes. I'm just like.
For some reason, I have a feeling you have a lot. I don't know why.
Oh, I definitely give off that energy of a terrified person. I am a terrified person. I was scared of the dark fully until now. I'm still scared of the dark. I'm scared of the dark. I'm scared of spiders. I'm scared of throwing up. I'm scared of strangers. I'm scared of getting sick and dying. I'm scared of getting hit by a car and dying. I'm scared of getting kidnapped.
Anything death related.
Yeah, totally. But the thing is, like, I'm not afraid of like the dying part. I'm afraid of the discomfort.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, like when I was a kid, this is so brutal, but when I was a kid, I was so scared of the dark. And, you know, in my house, you know, it's kind of an old house, so to turn out all the lights downstairs before going upstairs, you would have to turn out the light and then walk through the dark rooms to get to the stairs, right? So I would have to walk through these rooms in the dark, and I was so scared. In my head, what I would tell myself, I would steel myself. I'd have my hand on the light switch, like 6 years old, 7 years old, and just be like, the worst thing that can happen is that I die. There's nothing I can do about that. And then I would turn the light off and then walk upstairs to my room, fully accepting like the possibility of just like getting murdered by a ghost.
That's a lot. That's like a lot. Like that's heavy.
It really was. It really is. It still is.
You fully accepted that.
No,
At the ripe age of
6 or 7, I literally was just like, listen, either there's a ghost here, and when the lights turn out, it's gonna grab me, or there's not, and I'm powerless to stop it.
Coffee or tea?
Ooh, it depends. It depends. Mostly coffee. When I wake up in the morning, I want a latte. But when I'm kind of like relaxing or unwinding, I love a caffeine-free tea. Or if I really am feeling healthy, I love a good green tea or like a jasmine tea in the morning.
Ed Tomorrow on YouTube is asking, why do you pour water on the wheel when you remove the pot?
Oh, what a great little specific question. It's called hydroplaning. If you've ever driven your car in the rain and then braked too fast, you have hydroplaned. Yeah, basically, that water helps the pot slide. Some potters just wire under and then just grab it and move it. But I like to grab it and slide it and get my hand under it to remove it from the wheel. If I'm throwing on a bat like I'm doing today, where it's not really gonna come off of the surface at all, I don't do that. But if I'm throwing directly on the metal wheel head and I'm removing a pot from it, I just find hydroplaning to be the easiest way to get the pot off of the wheel.
True.
I love that.
Canary in a coal mine would like to know, how do you get the same angle on every bowl?
I don't. I mean, you know, like when the Hulk said, like, that's my secret, I'm always angry. That's my secret. They are not as similar as you think they are. It's kind of like your eyebrows, man. I mean, like, my face is, like, not symmetrical at all. The whole right side of my face is, like, lower than my left side of my face. But the bowls are similar enough that when they're all grouped together, they seem similar enough, right? And I'm completely comfortable with that, because if you want completely identical bowls, you can buy perfect, completely identical bowls from Target or IKEA. So to me, getting them all to look exactly the same is not my priority. It's having them all be beautiful and functional and look like they go together.
that whatever you were working on is done. I finished my bottle. Yeah, I hope that if you were folding laundry, I hope those folds are nice and crisp. If you were cooking dinner, I hope that's nice and flavorful for you, whatever you were working on. I hope that that made working on your stuff more entertaining. Yeah, so I hope that this was fun. Obviously, this is a very longer, more lackadaisical type of content, which I hope that I can do more of, because this was like wicked fun. I'm thinking of calling the series like Studio Hangout, and it won't always be a Q&A. I'm thinking that I'll come next time with an idea of what I want to talk about. It's my little soapbox, my moment to like talk about whatever I want to talk about, but I thought starting with a Q&A was a good idea. If there's anything that I mentioned today that you have further questions about, leave a comment and I might get around to answering it. I'm still thinking about doing another tutorial. I've already done my introductory level wheel throwing tutorial. I was thinking of doing more of a beginner level, so people who have some skills and want to hone those skills. So I've got a lot of content in my head that's going to be coming out down the road. Thank you to everybody who asked a question. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed. Yeah, I'll see you at the next one. Bye.